Hello, students. So, welcome to the CP Plus computing tutorial, right? So, sort of, right? So, this is actually the assignment that I've shared with you, and I told you to give it a try. So, I have the solution, or rather, my solution here for you to compare and to see if you have actually done it correctly. My program may not be the perfect one, but it is serviceable, right? So, I'm just going to connect this. Okay. Takes a while because I'm using Colab, but I believe you should be using Jupyter. So that will be fine. You do not need to wait for this connection. Jupyter runs straight away locally. So what is the task over here, right? So the task over here, first of all, is to create a list with 3 guests who you'd like to invite for dinner. So that I've done, right? So to create a guest list, okay, I'm just going to call it guest, and then I'm going to use a square bracket to declare the list, right? So this is the list, and within the list, each element is actually a string with the name of my guest. Okay, so that's how we actually create a list, or rather, one of the ways to create a list. Right? You learn new ways as you encounter more problems, as you try to solve more programming problems, and you gain the experience. So that's what I did. Then after that, I print it to see how it works. So that's fine, right? So what I can do is I can just run this and you'll see how it goes. Okay, so I have the list. I print the list over here, right? The guest. And then what happened is it says somebody couldn't make it, right? So I choose one of my guests that couldn't make it. So in my example, I chose the guest. And now you see I put the number 1 here. But number 1 is actually not the first name on the list, right? So the first name here is actually Gandhi. But why does it not choose Gandhi? Because when we create the list, the first index of the list is actually 0. So the position that Gandhi is in is actually 0. Then we have Martin Luther King Jr., then with Daisaku Ikeda here. So 0, 1, 2. So when I try to print guess 1 in this manner, right? So I do F string. So the guess 1 is actually 0, 1. This Martin Luther King. So you see Martin Luther King is the one that couldn't make it for dinner. So then after that they say replace. So when I replace, I put guess 1 over here. It replaces, right? So it replaces the Martin Luther King with Nelson Mandela. And then that's why when I print my 3 invitation again, you will find that, right? Here, the second name here is now Nelson Mandela. Okay. Now, is there a more efficient way to run this? Definitely there is, right? So what I'm going to do is just going to demonstrate. You can actually use a loop to run this, to send the invitation without printing, I would like to invite you to dinner 3 times. Right. So what happens if I'm going to invite like 100 guests, 200 guests? I'll be typing this particular line of code many times. There's definitely a more elegant way to do it. So the one way to do it is actually to use a loop. So for this particular example, I'm going to use a for loop. So I'm going to for, right? I'm going to guess in guess. So what this particular line does is that it says for every guess inside the list guess, that means I'm going to go down the list guess and go through every element. And then for every element here, I'm going to actually print something, print the name, right? So I can actually go print. And you can say the AI has already helped me. So I'm just going to do that. And then this portion here, I'm going to clear away. So what it does now is that it will go down for every element inside this list. I'll just say I would like to invite you for dinner. So let's clear this and then run it and see if it works. It does exactly the same thing. Okay, so this is just a introduction on how we can actually use a for loop in this particular situation to make my code a lot cleaner, right? So let's go on to part 2. Now part 2, what happened is just to practice our print function, calling the print function. So we have a single line says, hey, found a bigger table. So now I can invite 3 more leads, three more guests to my dinner. So I'm going to do this. Guess, the beginning here. So this is actually to emphasize once again to you that the beginning of the list is actually index 0. So I'm going to invite Zhou Enlai and put him at the beginning of my list. So it's going to be 0 here. Then what happened is I want 1 in the middle. So in the middle, now what happened is I have 4 guests, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. That's my 4 index. So if I want to insert 1 right here, okay, it will be 0, 1, 2. That's why I insert 2 and I'm going to invite Arnold Toneby, right? And then the append method, the append method actually simply adds the name to the end of the list. So when we know the actual position that we want to put the new name, we use insert. Otherwise, if we just want to add it to the back, we can just use append, right? So that's what we can do. So I just re-invited Martin Luther King Jr. Maybe he says he could make it after all, right? So why not send him another invitation? Okay. So again, you can see here, to make things clear what I'm trying to do, I'm going to invite all of my guests once again, 6 of them. However, I've actually demonstrated earlier how you can actually use a for loop to make this particular line, these lines of codes a lot cleaner. So if you like to press the pause button, pause this video and try it out for yourself, you can do so. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video and you try it out. All right, you're back. So I hope you're successful. So if not, this is what I will do, right? I can go for, right, for loop. I'm going to do the same thing for guess. Sorry, it's for guess and guess, right? So for guess and guess, I'm going to print a hi, and then I'm going to call the guest, and then I'm going to say I invite you for dinner. So this will just invite everyone on the list. Okay, so let's run this and see how it works. There we go, successful, right? So we've done that. Okay, so moving on to the next part. So what happened, right? So now my guest list is string because I found that the new dinner table won't arrive. My table is too small now, and it's so small I can only invite 2 guests. So add a new line to print that says I can only invite 2 guests. So here you go, I can only invite 2 people for dinner. Now, earlier I've actually shown you how to use a for loop. There's another way to do a loop, and that's called the while loop. So in this particular scenario, what I want to do is I would like to actually remove all my guests until I have 2 left, right? So I can use while loop for that. So down here, there's another function here, len, length. So what this function does is that it looks into the list guess and see how many elements are there, how many names are there, right? So right now, my guests have 6 names. So it is greater than 2. So since this is the case, then everything that's under the while loop, it will actually run. But once my guess, the number of people on my list hits 2, right? So I'll keep subtracting. Once it hits 2, I stop and get out of the loop and do the rest. Okay, so that's what happened. So while the length of my guess is more than 2, I'm going to call a variable here called the pop guess, and then go guess.pop. So what guess.pop does is that it actually removes one of the guests right at the back, and then after that save it into this variable called pop guest, and I can use it, right? So I can say print hi pop guest, I'm sorry I cannot invite you for dinner, so I'll just remove. So I'll just keep removing one at a time until, right, I've only 2 guests. Then I can go ahead and say, well, guest number 0, you're still invited, or guest number 1, again, if I want, I can always, right, replace this with a for loop for guest in guest, right? Yeah, I've already done this. Okay, so these 2 lines over here, line 6 and line 7, does exactly the same thing as line 8 and line 9. So I can do this if I want my code to look a lot cleaner. So you can do this. Okay, so once I've done this, that will fulfill the requirement over here, right? Print a message says I can't invite them, and then after I print a message to each of the 2 and say still invited. Now, I'd like to, oops, sorry about that. I'd like to also introduce this keyword here called del. It stands for delete, right? So what it does is that it also use delete. You can actually remove your list, right? The elements in the list directly. So other than pop, another cleaner way to just remove certain guests, I can do that. Okay. So I want to delete the last 2 names. I go delete, then guest 02. Here is another one that's new for those of you who are new to Python, right? When I put 0, semicolon 2, what it does is that it will take 0 and it goes to 1 and you'll stop, right? So it's a bit like from 0 to 1 less than this number. So that means once I hit 2, I stop. I don't delete this anymore. So guess 0, I'll delete. Guess 1, I'll delete. So that's one of the cleanest way I can do that. You can also delete guest 0, then delete guest 1, but it's tedious, right? So this is one way we can do it in just one line, delete both guest 0 and guest 1 at the same time. Then I print. Well, what happens is when I print this, there's nothing inside my guest list, right? So I should get an empty list. So let's see if that's what happens. Right? So there you go. I can only invite 2 people for the list. Well, Martin Luther King, you're out. Daisaku Ikeda, you're out. You can't make it. Nelson Mandela, you're out. Arnold Toynbee, you're out. So only Zhou Enlai and Mahatma Gandhi. Well, they are there, right? But after that, what happened? I delete the list, and now I don't have a list anymore. My list is an empty list, and that's why when I print the guest list, it's empty now. I cleared. I'm done. Okay, so that is the first 3 parts of assignment A. I hope you're successful. If not, you try it out again. And in the next video, we will look at part 4 onwards. Okay. All right, I'll end the video here. Have a nice day.